Hi, I'm Dr. Melissa West, and today's question comes to us from Facebook from Donna, and she wants to know, how do I know when I should be using a bolster for some sitting postures? And she says, I find that for some poses, if I sit on my bolster, it relaxes my low back and hip flexors. So this is a great question, and I'm going to try my best to answer it today. So I've got two props to try and demonstrate this because I know not everybody will have a bolster, and I don't think you necessarily need a bolster. I think sometimes that's a little too high for sitting postures. So here's the answer. If your knees are higher than your hips, you need to elevate your hips so that your knees drop lower than your hips. So you can fold up your Mexican blanket, something nice and firm, or get a meditation cushion and sit up on that until your knees are lower than your hips. So see how my hips are higher than my knees now? That'll be more comfortable for you now. Also, I think Donna is also talking about, before I go to that, I think she's also talking about like seated forward folds. But first, let me show you another position for sitting meditation that could be more comfortable, because this cross-legged position isn't for everybody. That's why I got the block. You can sit kneeling on a block. This is a nice alternative to sitting cross-legged, especially if you have tight hips. So that's a really nice alternative. Okay, so for her question about my low back's tight, how do I know if I need to elevate my hips? When you're sitting, if your back is tight and your hamstrings are tight, generally you're going to look a little bit like this. And when you try to do a forward fold, it's kind of a futile experience. So see, the low back is too tight, and you can't get your pelvis to roll forward. Your hamstrings are too tight, your low back is too tight. So what you need to do is lift your pelvis so that it can roll forward. So that's when you need to elevate it with either a meditation cushion, a bolster, Mexican blanket, and then it's much easier. It frees up the hip flexors to come forward. Okay? This is also the case in a pose like cow's face pose. So for a lot of people in this pose, their knees don't fold forward like this. A lot of men, for example, we should get Tim on camera for this. Their legs will be up like this. Then you do need to elevate your hips. You can sit on the block here or your folded blanket. And that will allow your knees to drop and your hip flexors to drop. So I hope that answers your question, Donna. If it doesn't, ask another one, okay?
Finding a great yoga class is becoming more costly and difficult. Now there's a better way to self-improvement in the privacy of your own home. Visit Dr. Melissa West at melissawest.com and start getting free weekly online videos. Real yoga for real people.